Hello, this is Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger with another California report. Now, as you may have heard, this week the legislative analyst said that California faces a potential $6 billion deficit in the current fiscal year, which starts in July and goes to end of June next year. Now, there are a few reasons for this. The global economic crisis is still hurting job growth and our revenues. And also, a few weeks ago, the people passed an initiative to say that we can't take certain money from local government. The legislative analyst also assumes that we don't get the federal money that we deserve, since Washington has now its own budget problems. It's also clear that we did not make nearly enough cuts in this budget year. As you recall, I wanted to solve our deficit with cutting $12 billion, where our legislators wanted to cut only $4 billion. In the end, after 3 months of going back and forth and negotiating, we compromised on $8 billion in cuts. We thought that it was fair. They wanted 4 cuts. I wanted the $12 billion in cuts. So let's settle in the middle with $8 billion. I also used then my blue pencil veto. And then I cut an additional $960 million in spending, which caused, of course, a huge uproar amongst the big spenders here in Sacramento. But now we find ourselves facing a $6 billion gap. And I think the legislative analyst is right. We should do something about it right away. In fact, the legislative analyst said that if there's no action taken, California faces a potential $25 billion deficit down the line next year and the year after that. So I will call an emergency special session of the legislature. This will allow us to make immediate mid-year cuts. Some may wonder, why not wait until the next administration? Why not wait until the next governor comes into office? But because we really can't afford to. It would be irresponsible. Every day of inaction, the problem grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And keep in mind, many of the gimmicks that Sacramento used for decades to kick the can down the road are no longer available. When I came to Sacramento 7 years ago, they balanced budgets by grabbing money from transportation, grabbing money from local government, and grabbing money from pension funds from everywhere. Well, this trickery never fixed the budget. It just created more problems and kept Sacramento from facing the reality that we simply are spending money that we did not have. And that's irresponsible. In 2004, I remember we started to tighten that noose. I was out there campaigning for Proposition 57 and 58 in order to prevent borrowing from ongoing programs, and we won with an overwhelming majority. And then we passed Proposition 1A and 42 to make it even harder to steal money from local governments and from transportation. So as you can see, we tightened the noose. And then a few weeks ago, the voters passed an initiative to make it even harder to raise fees. So the noose is now very, very tight. Sacramento has no choice but to face the reality and to make the cuts and finally bring spending in line with our revenues. So I'm going to work very hard on that, and like I said to you, that I'm going to charge through the finish line. There is no such thing as the lame duck governor. I'm going to work for you until the last end and then beyond. So anyway, thank you for watching and thank you for listening.